one and all. How you doing? Happy Sunday. Let me just cut the music there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you all had a great weekend. Good to be with you all in the Sned Shed. Welcome. It's nice and cozy in here. So let's check our coats. Imagine all of our preconceived notions, our unconscious bias wrapped up in a big, heavy winter coat. And we're coming in from the cold into the warm Sned Shed. Just take that coat off, check it at the coat check, and let's download some great info. Grab your favorite beverage, your favorite mug, your favorite your favorite pet, your favorite person. Cheers, everybody. Got a little lime water with my Mysterium in it. So welcome one and all. Thank you all who are reposting this and tagging others. And yeah, this is good. KKY, I have not seen Jim Brewer. That was on last week about central casting. It was really good. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, time to buckle up, my friends. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. Feeling good. Got a good walk in. Thank you, Peggy, for the thumbs up. All I need is my soul. It's crazy. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Hello, Sue. Welcome, one and all. So, my friends, hey, going to drop the link. If anybody wants to, come on the show. I've done that a few times, and we've had some great conversations as a result. So if you would like to do so, to join the show, please don't be shy, and we'll have a Q&A or just conversation, story that you might want to tell, etc., etc., etc. So I'm dropping that in just the Rumble, the YouTube, and the X chat. Actually, on X, it'll be in the comment section, not the chat section. So feel free to join in, and I'll bring you up if somebody comes in. But I wanted to talk about the, all this pressure, and a lot of people are seeing it who, cheat on me with other podcasts. I don't mind. As long as you're honest about it. I don't mind. So many podcasters have turned on Trump, and so many people have turned on President Trump. And it's simply, it makes sense because we know that so many are still controlled opposition. And we also know that so many do not have Q in their lives. For example, people are, taking that post that Melania did, that speech that she gave last week. They're kind of using that like, oh, she was very nervous, and she, she's why is she bringing this up? Is she trying to get out ahead of something, and so forth? What's important to understand is that she's calling for people to take this seriously. And what better way to take it seriously than to testify under oath, which a lying is an absolute crime in front of Congress, and tell your story. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I can see how some of these people, so-called victims, have been used to weaponize the Epstein files against President Trump, and that's what Melania was basically getting out ahead of. So this is Christina Green. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. So happy to catch you live. I'm one of the OG Sneds here. Head here, missing you too. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Edward, 165th anniversary of the all-out assault on Fort Sumter, South Carolina, a 3-day assault that triggered the first American Civil War. Great piece of information, Edward. Thank you for that. Turber, good to see you. Yeah, so you guys hear Jasper's working on that bone. He's working on that bone. He's right here. He's very happy, very happy. We had a nice walk tonight on the new property, and enjoyed that very much. Lassie, good to see you. And hi to Jasper. Awesome. Hey, everyone says hi, Jasper. So, it makes me angry too. I found you're not late at all. You're right on time. Right on time. And thank you all, Patriotic Cowgirl, for reposting the stream. And so, what are we seeing, my friends? We in terms of, here's the thing. We have a distinct advantage, yeah, and that advantage is the fact that what is transpiring, we've already been given a heads up to. We go deeper. While everybody is crying, all those crying out against President Trump, they're claiming that President Trump is the lapdog of the Israeli cabal. And but we already know that that's not true. And this is, if he's the lapdog of Israel, then how come nobody was critical of Obama being the lapdog of Iran? Hillary being the lapdog of Russia with Uranium One. All of this, all that's happening with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz is absolutely perfect timing and absolutely perfect scripting. I want to take us to a gaggle that President Trump had, a brief gaggle yesterday, and play that for you. It's only 3.5 minutes long here.
I'm getting a lot of reports. They've been meeting for many hours, as you probably have noticed. We'll see what happens. Look, regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally defeated that country. And so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't. From the standpoint of America, we win. One other thing that's happening is that boats are sailing up and heading out to our country. Big, beautiful tankers, and we're loading them up with oil and gas and everything else. And pretty beautiful thing to see. What about we're going to see what happens. We're in very deep negotiations with Iran. We win regardless. We've defeated them militarily. They've dropped a couple of water mines. You call them water mines in the boat. We've defeated all of their water boats too. Their Navy has gone 158 ships. They have 28 water droppers, mine droppers, they call them. All of them are sunk. They probably have a couple of mines in the water. We have mine sweepers out there. We're sweeping the strait. In addition to that, we're negotiating. Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me. And the reason is because we've won. Whether you listen to the fake news or not, it's amazing. Their credibility is down to 13%. The media credibility down to 13%. Think of it. We defeated their Navy. We defeated their Air Force. We defeated their anti-aircraft. We defeated their radar. We defeated their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the strait, even though we don't use it, because we have a lot of other countries in the world that do use it that are either afraid or weak or cheap I don't know what it is, but we were not helped by NATO, that I can tell you. How do you know that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? You don't know anything. Who you with? Who you with? ABC? Well, that's fake news. Let me just tell you, we win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their minesweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice? With all of that being said, they're all defeated, by the way. They're all at the bottom of the sea. Now, with all of that, they have no navy. They have no radar. They have no air force. Their leaders are all dead. With Khomeini is gone. For many years, he ruled. He's gone. With all of that, let's see what happens. But from my standpoint, I don't care. Well, if China does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
Okay, I hit the mute button, so Jasper would have a bit of a break. You would have a bit of a break from Jasper's bone chewing, chomping. It looks like he's taking a break, actually. So, Belinda, good to see you. So, my friends, you know, I want to break down that real quick for everybody. A couple things. One, the mainstream media has a 13% approval rate. 13%, the lowest in history. Okay. Anybody that says President Trump is Israel's lapdog, ask them this. What are the two? And I've said this before, but I want to say it again because we are getting inundated with all of this information that is anti-Trump and, you know, Israel-Trump combination with Miriam Adelson and all that. Okay. So what if you took that amount of money from the Adelsons, Miriam, because he's passed on, and you then turn around and bomb Israel or aggressively go against Israel, especially given all of the Israel support that you've gotten. That would not bode well for President Donald John Trump. However, if you take that money, but you allow them to expose themselves, which they've done with Gaza, which they're doing with Lebanon, which they're doing with ongoing aggression at a time when President Trump tried to establish peace in the Middle East after the initial takeout of Iran's leaders and their sites that where they could do more harm. So what if they expose themselves? Also, ask people, what are the two strongest tools that the Israel Khazarian cabal uses to control humanity? My answer to that is one, the media. He not only said the MSN has a 13% approval rate, the mainstream media, but then he asked this woman from NBC who she was with. She says NBC, and he says, well, that's fake news. He has destroyed the mainstream media. His recent posts on, you know, about Iran and about so many, he found the noisy one. Hey, give me that. Give me that one. Get your other one. Get down. Get down. Get down. This is the noisy one, the sloth. He's gotten a little rough with it. Mr. Sloth is not what he used to be. Get that one. Here. This one, the whale, is not as noisy. Let's see if I can get him to go for that one. Go get it. Go get it. He's not going to buy it. So so back to what I was saying. So he's destroyed the mainstream media. The second one is the centralized banks. He's destroying that whole system as well. So how can you say that he's pro-Israel? Did he allow them to continue to destroy Gaza? Yes, that was a tragedy. And in my mind, also a tragedy that he couldn't really stop, because that was a part of the awakening that we all must go through. Just like we had to go through the awakening of the COVID. Okay. So now, this is certainly, the bombing of the girls' school was a tragedy. You know, here he comes. But hey, if you're going to open a girls' school, might I suggest that you don't open it on a military base of a regime that is calling for death to America and death to Israel, annihilation of them both. Don't build a girls' school in a part of the base that is no longer in use. That might be a good choice going forward. So this is so there's definitely some things. There are some sacrifices, some tragedies that have occurred. Just like there have been tragedies that have occurred in Britain, in Ireland, in Europe, and the United States over the immigrant crisis. Viktor Orban just lost a race to a gentleman that is also conservative, almost more so. How you doing, buddy? You realize I'm doing a show, right? Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I don't get I can't get enough of this. Hi, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. You ready? You ready? You gonna say hello? You saying hello? There you go. So so this is all a part of the awakening, and this Magyar, Peter Magyar, Hungarian lawyer, politician, and leader of the TISA party, has defeated Orban. And Orban was friendly with President Trump, anti-European Union. So we'll see where this guy comes along. But he is against illegal immigration, and he's even against allowing Asians to come in and take jobs from Hungarians in the factories and so forth, which Orban is very open to working visas. So this could be a really good thing as well. So I'm not as worried about that. But thank you. He is a mess right now. He's a mess. Hi, Robin. Good to see you. But he's definitely enjoying. I try to keep a high level of professionalism here in the Sned Shed, my friends, as you know, a very high level of professionalism. Uh-oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? There we go. See how long this keeps up. So so thank you. He's awesome. And yeah, he's pretty cool. So Camera Hound, yeah. He's, what do you call it? Photo bombing, podcast bombing. Jasper, the co-host. Yes, exactly. Exactly. We have 250 watching on Rumble and only 43 thumbs up. Thank you for that heads up, Robin. Folks, please take a moment and hit that thumbs up, and help us grow the show. Like, help us get more people to see this show, because how many people out there have not wavered from Q, have not wavered from Trump one iota, like yours truly? And it's not a lot of people. So we're getting to know more and more who we should be following and who we should not. You can, when you share this post, tag what's his name, Alex Jones. Not so necessarily Alex can see it, because he's not going to turn around and start doing Q drops, because Q outed him as Mossad. But yeah, no wavering here. Thank you, Margaret. And thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, Maggie, this is good. So Fartwell dropped off his run for California governor. He has stepped aside and says his fight is to fight these allegations of sexual misconduct. And so good luck with that, because that's just the tip of the iceberg there, Swalwell, before you realize that your goose is cooked. So what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz? Okay. So we saw President Trump saying also in that video, he said that we're negotiating with Iran. I hope it goes well, but either way, we win. So that is the ultimate negotiation tactic. The art of the deal is you've got to be able to walk away from the deal. You're like, I don't care. I don't care what the outcome is. I hope it's good, but if it's not, we're fine with that too. Okay, and that is fine. And here's why that's fine. It's fine because now we have all these ships that are coming to the United States to get oil, because President Trump said, come on and get the sweetest oil you'll ever get. This was what happened. And this is, I think, part of this awakening as well. Let me take you to this. Okay, here we go. This is a Thailand cargo ship that was hit in. Supposedly, the story is they did not pay too much to cross the strait. And President Trump said, Iran, you better not be charging people to come through the strait. And he has said that we're going to open the strait, and we're going to do it tomorrow. And CENTCOM has actually has actually said, this is from Nick Sorter on X. Why is that not popping up? Here we go. Let me try that again. That it's official. CENTCOM has announced a full U.S. Navy blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will begin Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, following President Trump's order. The blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports and coastal areas, including all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. CENTCOM said in a statement, CENTCOM forces will not impede freedom of navigation for vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz to and from non-Iranian ports.
So we have the greatest military equipment. We have the greatest people. We have the strongest military in the world by far, and everybody sees it, whether it's Venezuela or what we've done with Iran. And when I read, the fake news talking about how well Iran's doing, they're not doing well at all. They're getting killed. I could take out Iran in one day. So we have the greatest military.
And yet these pundits, these influencers are saying that he got into a war he can't win. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so we're getting the skinny, the real story. You're getting the real story. Saudi Arabia has repaired the pipeline that Iran bombed, and it fully restores the east-west oil pipeline, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz and pumping 7 million barrels per day. Saudi Arabia says it needs no more Strait of Hormuz. Okay. Now, let's go to what's happening in our own Strait of America, or the Gulf of America. And this is what that looks like. The Gulf of America is full of ships coming in. And Pino Americano said, and just like that, we now understand the importance of Cuba, because they have to get past Cuba to get to all of the ports and the oil lines out to the Gulf of America. So very important too that we already cleaned up the. There's still people that think that Trump was blowing up fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela. That doesn't hold water, and neither do those boats that are no longer able to float because they've been broken up. And Texas Girl also posted, and this is real time takeover of the energy sector. This ain't the Straits of Hormuz. This is the Gulf of America. Hundreds of super tankers from every corner of the earth are racing to Texas and Louisiana to fill up on the sweetest, cheapest, most American oil on earth. While the world panics over Hormuz, President Trump just made the USA the #1 energy superpower again. Record exports, record tankers, record winning. The globalist chokehold is broken. America is the new gas station for the planet. God bless Trump. God bless our oil patch. God bless the United States of America. And so this is well played. It has broken the back of the city of London, and it is exposing how much the city of London was dependent on Iran and their money and their trade and the Lloyd's of London insurance policies to get the boats through the Strait of Hormuz. And so we're no longer seeing that. And so this was yesterday as well. This was Israel continuing to bomb Lebanon by going after their power stations. Remember all the criticism of President Trump going after power stations, which would affect civilians as well as their military. But he just used that as a threat. Now, starting tomorrow, that may no longer be a threat. But this is Ethan Levins on X. But they've just blown up this power station. So this is, this is all playing out as I believe it should, and I think that we just need to understand that what's happening is very, very strategized, and that China, who was getting, and he just said in that little, there was so much was said in that brief little gaggle. He also said that if China has a problem, if they get involved, they're going to have a much bigger problem on their hands. Now, think about the chokehold he's put on China. China was getting cheap oil from both Iran and Venezuela to build their empire. Okay. They're no longer getting cheap oil from those places. Okay. And if they get oil from us, they're going to be paying, top price. And also, it's going to further balance our trade that we have with them. I want to point us to this, what I believe is a distraction, but also in a part of what I believe the awakening to be. And so let me show you this. This is from Hodler on X. In the 2024 movie Fly Me to the Moon, Scarlett Johansson's character gets pulled into a White House operation called Project Artemis. Artemis was a top secret studio setup to film a fake moon landing as backup in case Apollo 11 flopped during the space race. Coincidence? Okay. Project Artemis, right? Now, I know that they didn't go up and go around the moon, and that they didn't, that this was all a psychological operation to try to show some kind of space dominance. This is one of the astronauts after the fact speaking on this topic, speaking on looking back and seeing the tiny Earth.
So when we saw tiny Earth, people asked our crew what.
And by the way, tiny Earth, I mean, we look at the moon, and the moon's pretty big in the sky. So if they're going to the moon from the Earth is going to be huge. Okay? It's going to be huge. Tiny Earth, what are you talking about?
Impressions we had. And honestly, what struck me wasn't necessarily just Earth, it was all the blackness around it.
And why aren't they seeing stars?
Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe.
Now, she pauses here, which many that believe this whole thing think might be tears, might be emotion, or might it be something else? Am I really bullshit?
So I may have not learned, I know I haven't learned everything that this journey has yet to teach me. But there's one new thing I know, and that is planet Earth, you are a crew.
I'm uninspired. I'm uninspired by it all. I'm absolutely over all the nonsense. I'm over all the bullshit. I'm over all the attempt to make us think that this is, that this is happening. Now, I want to show you something, and I'm gonna, stop the actual story because it has been debunked as an older video, but and I seem to have lost it. But it was a video. Here it is. This is Joka Army. And let me play this for you. And this is from an older video, from what I understand.
4, 3. Green light, green light, green light. Load clear, load clear.
Now that's part of his capsule.
10 copies, wind pack
That's
pass.
good enough. That's bank. Airspeed building.
There's 22. All right, coming up.
But supposedly this was a training video from a few years ago, right? But then, you know, looking into the comment section of this, we kind of get a different viewpoint, because this gentleman actually went to see if indeed that particular plane that they use for those was in the air anywhere near, you know, where the splashdown occurred. Okay, so let me share this with you. By the way, the fact that they launched it on April Fool's Day should tell you something. So the plane that's used for what we just saw was actually in the air over the ocean off San Diego on that day, April 11th. The WB-57 is favored for its ability to carry heavy, complex sensor suites to extreme altitudes where few other aircraft can operate. Can operate at altitudes exceeding 60,000 feet, capable of carrying up to 9,700 pounds of scientific instruments in various locations, including a large pallet in the former bomb bay, wing pods, and the nose. Can remain airborne for roughly 6.5 hours with a range of 2,500 miles. So the one we watched was a drop test in 2013. Another mysterious NASA death as 9th scientist linked to secret programs dies. These are all the dead and missing tied to NASA and JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratories. There you go. There you go. That was NASA and Jet Propulsion Laboratories scientists that have been found dead or have gone missing. I'm going to repost this on my which you can also access on snedheads.com. So yes, this was the Peter Megara who defeated Viktor Orban. I told you about earlier. He is far right as well. He's centrist right, but he is not going to open up their borders to the illegal migrants that the EU is trying to get everybody to do. Speaking of people that are being found dead, this from David J. Harris. And by the way, anybody listen to David J. Harris and what's he saying about Trump right now? But Professor Francis Boyle found dead only 20 days after he agreed to testify against Bill Gates and Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, over alleged dangers of COVID-19 mRNA vaccines. The circumstances surrounding his death are being questioned, with some suggesting foul play. Do you think this is just a coincidence? Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences when the people that are benefiting so much are being found dead. Mike Benz posted this, speaking of the Strait of Hormuz, that one might call this a bad omen. Mike Benz says, Massimo says, heavy rainfall on Hormuz Island washes iron. The sea's red. Pretty significant, biblical, and yeah. Also, Ethan Levins says this, that Apple is, and I believe he's speaking of Apple Maps, has removed Lebanese village names in southern Lebanon. As Israel invades, they are already setting the state to justify occupation. I've never seen something like this. And supposedly these were, there used to be, villages there. Okay. Some people were telling me that Apple has never had village names in southern Lebanon. Arguably, that's even worse. They've been planning this from the beginning, trying to reduce the significance of occupation. So let's keep an eye on that, and keep an eye on Israel. So yeah. Let's see. I want to take you to. Hold on. Let me post this. Take that down. Now. This was a repost by Susan Kokinda of here it is right here, from Andrew Bridgen. Once again, Lloyd's Bank is mired, also tied to Lloyd's of London, is mired in scandal along with Santander Bank. Iran used UK bank accounts to evade Western sanctions. There's no way UK intelligence services, MI5 and MI6, weren't aware of these banks allowing the Iranian regime to break the US-led sanctions. This explains why President Trump is so annoyed with Starmer. The UK government has stabbed the US in the back. Will bank executives be arrested? Now, what's so significant about this is that President Trump gave the European nations an opportunity to come and protect their ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, they declined. They thought that they had Trump over a barrel with the whole control of the strait with Lloyd's of London. And again, this is from Susan Kokinda, who is Promethean Action, reposted that. So, I mean, it's almost like President Trump has lured them into this unbelievable trap that they are now having to. They're either going to be buying American oil, or they're going to be buying Russian oil, and Russian oil has absolutely, without question, been a problem for the EU. And President Trump told them this years ago in his first administration, that they're basically financing Russia's war against Ukraine, yet they're trying to stop Russia from the continued invasion of Ukraine and that war. Now, Dan Scavino posted a 13 seconds of an eagle, and what's interesting is almost like the eagle is blinking, but still maybe can see, because we can see the eyeball, but that the veil is being lifted. And you'll remember that when Melania spoke about the Epstein situation, that let me see if I can pull that up for us real quick. Yeah. Let me pull that up for us real quick.
Good afternoon. The lies
Watch this veil behind
the
her,
disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end
to the
today.
left of her.
The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards. Humiliating circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach.
Look at the blinds
To be clear,
coming out.
I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
Almost as if the veil is being lifted, my friends. So the significance of Scavino's post was also mentioned by President Trump when he said that the mainstream media is at 13% right now. So we go to drop 13 on the Q board, October 30th, 2017. Now think about the timing of POTUS traveling to China, South Korea. I've said too much. God bless Patriots. Now, what we're about to see is President Trump is going to have talks with Xi in May. Okay. A scheduled summit, May 14th to 15th, originally planned for late March or early April. That was delayed due to the ongoing U.S. involvement in the Iran conflict. And the White House confirmed the new dates. They were going to meet around March 31st to April 2nd. Now, President Trump also told us that it would be Liberation Day for us, April 2nd. So maybe that meeting had something to do with it, and also pushed this back because of China's significant influence, right? And it'll be his first trip to China in about 8 to 9 years. His previous one was in 2017. The agenda is going to be heavily on trade, including tariffs and the ongoing trade war. But he's also said anybody supplying weapons to Iran is going to get an immediate 50% tariff hike. That's going to be huge for China. And that, in my opinion, is why China is playing nice regarding Iran and why China has not gotten involved, because that is going to be a death knell for China trade. Now, President Trump also mentioned 28, okay? 28, and I don't remember the context right now. If you remember, please put it in the chat. But this is a very important one. What must be completed to engage military intelligence over other three-letter agencies? During the 50s and 60s, federal troops and federalized National Guard forces, accompanied by military intelligence personnel, were deployed, excuse me, to help integrate Southern schools and to help deal with civil disorders in Detroit. This was in 1967 and other cities the following year after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Throughout this period, military intelligence units also continued to collect data on Americans at home who were suspected of involvement in subversive activities. Now, what's going on at home is Antifa, and just last week, President Trump made them a terrorist organization. In the late 60s, the Pentagon compiled personal information on more than 100,000 politically active Americans in an effort to quell civil rights and anti-Vietnam War demonstrations and to discredit protesters. The Army used 1,500 plainclothes agents to watch demonstrations, infiltrate organizations, and spread disinformation. According to one, and we've seen this, the spread of disinformation, we saw this with the CIA, with Radcliffe, and how they spread disinformation to throw off the Iranian regime about the location of the pilot. And we also saw from John Solomon last week, where he said that, expect psyops from the Trump administration. According to one report, the Army had at least one observer at every demonstration of more than 20 people. The Army's activities were summed up by Senator Sam Ervin, allegedly for the purpose of predicting and preventing civil disturbances which might develop beyond the control of state and local officials. Army agents were sent throughout the country to keep surveillance over the way the civilian population expressed their sentiments about government policies. In churches, on campuses, in classrooms, in public meetings, they took notes, tape recorded, and photographed people who dissented in thought, word, or deed. This included clergymen, editors, public officials, and anyone who sympathized with the dissenters. Ha ha ha, Trump has had military infiltrate Antifa and all the dissenting local governments, always 5 steps ahead. Please be true. Q said, well done. Picture being painted. So this was from an Anon, and Q said, well done, picture being painted, and takes us to the Louisiana Law Review and the role of military intelligence in homeland security. And so we've been to this many, many times before. So very, very interesting that President Trump took us to those 2 drops, as did Dan Scavino take us to 13. And so, again, they're taking us to very significant drops that should let us know what is coming. Also, one of the Anons long ago had asked Dan Scavino to please post an eagle the day before things are going to start going down. Now, it's kind of difficult because Dan last week, he posted an eagle in the Oval Office, and then he posted this one that we just showed you. So, yeah. In terms of some of the influencers that are jumping from the Trump train, if you will, I want to share this with you. This gentleman, he has some very controversial views. And when I say controversial, I don't want to discredit them by any stretch of the imagination, but he does the faces And he claims that people that were alive many years ago are now taking roles in this movie. Well, let me just let it play through.
Listening to the Joe Rogan Experience thinking you're getting truth, right? Or Sam AAA and his tinfoil hat podcast, or maybe even Candace Owens, or were you a fan of Alex Jones and InfoWars and you thought he was telling you the truth? Well, I'm sorry to be the one that breaks it to you, my friends, but they're all gatekeepers, and they're much more than gatekeepers, if I'm being honest. You see, at first, I thought they were just all a bunch of Freemasons, kind of like Candace says here.
I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
Excuse me, baking powder. Can we hear that one more time?
I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
And this guy, Joe Rogan, with the nice all-seeing eye in his logo, why don't we hear what he has to say?
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSACA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother.
And did you hear me when I said I used to think they were just secret society members, Freemasons? Well, I know better than that now. And I've done many videos exposing that and exposing how they're not even who they claim to be. Not at all. Like how Joe Rogan looks suspiciously like the most wicked man to ever live, Aleister Crowley, and has the exact same nose and the exact same facial symmetry and the exact same scar right in their cheek. But it's not just Joe or Candace. No, it's Sam Tripoli, or should I say Triple A Tinfoil Podcast as well. You know, this guy, Sam Tripoli, he wears an upside down Los Angeles hat. An upside down Los Angeles hat. What could that symbolize? Maybe the city of angels, the angels, Los Angeles, and it upside down would make it seem like it's falling, like he's representing falling angels. And speaking of Freemasonry, have you ever heard of Francis Bacon? You know, Francis Bacon, one of the founding fathers of Freemasonry. And well, he looks suspiciously like Sam Tripoli. And if you're just listening to this, well, right now I'm showing how they have the exact same curvature and nose and the exact same facial beard, the exact same face. It's him. They always tell us Sir Francis Bacon, considered by esoteric historians to be the concealed designer of Freemasonry. And what was his name again? Francis Bacon. Do you know what's a high quality type of bacon? Triple A bacon. Triple A, kind of like triple. And don't even get me started on Mr. Bill Hicks. I mean, Alex Jones of InfoWars here. If you don't know that Alex Jones used to be comedian Bill Hicks, well then, my friends, you have a lot of catching up to do. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm starting my very own podcast where
So this is from the Fittest Flat Earther on, I believe he's on X as well, but the Fittest Flat Earther, if you want to see more of his content. And I'll repost that on my stream. So very, very, you know, he throws up some very interesting, very compelling comparisons. But what I don't see is him then going to like documented like birth dates and death dates and all of that. So that's why I don't, you know, I kind of take it as kind of this kind of cool way to look at things and kind of question things. But I would prefer if he kind of dove a little bit deeper into their actual genealogy. Okay. Huge volcano eruption in Japan. Sakurajima volcano has erupted. It's amazing to watch Mother Earth in action. That's a lot of carbon in the atmosphere. And I have spoken on this for many, many years. My show that I did many years ago, Pigtail Propaganda, about Greta Thunberg and the ultimate agenda of the climate scare, is depopulation, because a whole generation of children who have grown up with that bullshit were made to feel guilty simply for living on this earth and breathing and bringing additional children into this earth. Very, very interesting. And President Trump has, called the EU pretty stupid for going after the climate thing, and he calls the climate change a hoax. And he's absolutely correct. And, he's not been wrong about anything. Elon Musk says South Africa won't allow Starlink to be licensed, even though I was born there, simply because I am not black. We were offered many times the opportunity to bribe our way to a license by pretending that a black guy runs Starlink, but I have refused to do so on principle. Racism should not be rewarded, no matter to which race it is applied. Shame on the racist politicians in South Africa. They should be shown no respect whatsoever anywhere in the world and shunned for being unashamedly racists. Right? 18 million people saw this, folks. People are waking up every single day that this man posts about what's really going on in the world. Okay. And I also want to take you to Dr. Russell McGregor on Donald J. Trump. And he says, buckle up, buttercups. You play the Trump card at the end of the game. And President Trump reposted the Trump card. The president holds if Iran won't bend a naval blockade, which begins tomorrow, of the Strait of Hormuz. And then it takes us to the post 2936. At what stage in the game do you play the Trump card? And like he says, you play it at the end of the game. So are we nearing the end of this game? I certainly would like to think so. I hope so, because it's been a long game and it's been very trying. Il Donaldo Trumpo is doing just some hilarious stuff, but also very informative things as well.
Assalamu alaikum, bitches. This is your new Ayatollah speaking. Well, if you think about it, I'm more like your new I told you. Because I told you this would happen if you kept fucking around instead of taking JD's deal. My first order of business as your new I told you will be to take over the Strait of Hormuz and to bring back bikinis to Iran. We're going to have big, beautiful beach parties all along the coast with delicious margaritas and sexy mamacitas. Anyway, we're the captains now, bitches. America is back, bigger, stronger, and hotter than ever before. Believe me.
I mean, this is Donald Trump right here, right? It's without question. We know that. He said that himself. And so he's playing this information war, and he's winning bigly this information war. This is, I want to show this because this is Ben Garrison, who's been dropping bombs with his artwork. And he said, oops, I did it again. This is Guru Graphics Ben and Tina Garrison cartoon. So I suggest you follow them. And he follows me, which is pretty damn cool because Ben Garrison is a legend in my mind. I lost a bunch of followers today over this cartoon because I supported President Trump. Oh, well, their loss, right? Trump just drop kicked the MAGA doomers straight off the cliff. New Ben Garrison cartoons. Tucker's fishing for Qatari cash while screaming demonic. And there's Tucker, low IQ. Here's Alex Jones. Looks like he's got some supplements there in his hand. There's Candace. There's Megyn Kelly. And there's Marjorie Taylor Greene / Brown. And they, my friends, have been exposed like no others. And I got to tell you, I'm so grateful because we don't want to move forward with these people still in our purview as being, you know, as continuing to be trustworthy. Okay. And this from Homeland Security News, Iran said that there will be no more negotiations. Negotiations are over. So here we go. And America is drilling like never before thanks to President Trump. This is the U.S. Department of Energy, but also the oil workers of America also said we are ready, Mr. President. Okay. Mr. Poole posted the U.S. withdrawals from the World Health Organization today. Obviously, a year ago is when President Trump wrote the memorandum.
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Ooh, that's a big one. Yes, it is, Mr. President. And thank you for freeing us of that unbelievable tyranny, that medical tyranny that we were experiencing at the hands of the World Health Organization. Also, Dubai is being affected. They got hit with a massive cyber attack. Iran-linked group Handala just dropped a nuke. They claim to have destroyed 6 petabytes of data, completely wiped, gone forever, and stole 149 terabytes of the most secret files from the heart of Dubai. Dubai courts, Dubai Land and Property Department, Roads and Transport Authority. These are the veins of Dubai's economy and legal system. Dubai is reportedly in total chaos right now. Systems down, operations paralyzed across the city. This is one of the biggest cyber strikes the Gulf has ever seen. The resistance just sent a crystal clear message. Nowhere is untouchable. What do you think happens next? Very interesting. Very interesting. Alice Smith posts, hey, Grok, what are the top 3 signs a country is heading towards communism? Short answer, please. That was from Gina Unfiltered. Grok, expanding government control. Let me bring this up so you can see it a little bit better. Expanding government control over private property and businesses through regulations or nationalization. Erosion of free speech and individual rights with increasing censorship and surveillance. Centralized economic planning that prioritizes state redistribution over market freedoms. This is exactly what we're seeing in New York City. And that whole kayfabe, not kayfabe, but I think this kind of false adoration that President had with Mamdani. I said at the time that what we didn't see, what was behind closed doors, and I think behind closed doors was a very different story. And President Trump has actually said that Mamdani will be the greatest thing for the Republicans in a long, long time. And I agree. And speaking of communism, let's go to Chicago. Let's go to Congress. Questioning the mayor of Chicago is Brandon Gill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing on such an important topic. Mayor Johnson, I want to start with you. One of your first actions as mayor was establishing a deputy mayor for immigrant, migrant, and refugee rights. I want to ask you a series of questions. If you could answer with a yes or no answer, that'd be great. First of all, do you support allowing illegal aliens to obtain driver's licenses? Just yes or no?
So the city of Chicago has been a welcoming city for over 40 years.
I'll take that as a yes. Next question.
And that's the policy that we will hold to.
Do you support tax dollars subsidizing or paying for the health care of illegal aliens?
I support investments in all residents of the people of Chicago, and that's what I do.
That's a yes as well. Do you support free or reduced college for illegal aliens?
Again, I support the investments of all residents of the people of Chicago.
That is a yes. Next question. Do you support allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections?
Again, I'm not over the jurisdiction of that type of law, but again, I'm committed to investing in all residents of the people of Chicago.
I'll take that as a yes. I've got an article from the Chicago Sun-Times, and I'll quote here briefly. Johnson proposed, among other things, that all residents, regardless of citizenship status, be able to vote for Chicago Board of Education members. Next question. Your website states, and this is your campaign website, quote, "I will not stop fighting until abortion access is completely secure for people all over the country," end quote. Yes or no, do you support taxpayer-funded abortions for illegal aliens?
I support the reproductive rights of all people, all women.
That is a yes as well. Your mayoral transition website mentioned support for creating a Chicago Board of Education non-citizen advisory board. Again, yes or no, do you support appointing non-citizens to government advisory boards?
I was invited here today to discuss welcoming cities.
Yes or no?
I was invited here to discuss welcoming cities.
This is a yes or no
If you're interested in asking me questions about the welcoming city, I'm happy to answer those questions.
No, we're going to move on. As you know, President Trump, unlike the previous administration, has taken serious action to bring foreign criminal gangs to justice, to take our border back and to restore public safety in our communities. He designated 8 transnational criminal organizations and cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. These are groups like Tren de Aragua, MS-13, Sinaloa, other of some of the most grotesque and ruthless and brutal organizations in the world. You, as mayor of a sanctuary city, have been virtually giving favors to illegal aliens. Apparently, you support an enormous amount of taxpayer resources going to them as well. But you yourself have also received a lot of gifts. And for those of you who don't know, Mayor Johnson has a secret gift room that is not given access to the public or for access to the Office of Inspector General. I'd like to ask you a couple questions about that. Do you know everyone who's given you a gift since you became mayor?
The city of Chicago has had a policy for 40 years,
yes or no question,
where there are individuals that would like to give gifts to
I'm
the
reclaiming
city of
my
Chicago,
time. I'm going to take that as
and
no.
we do not accept those
when
gifts.
Did you become
we
mayor?
receive them on
I'm going to reclaim my
of
time
the city
here.
of Chicago.
You're not going to filibuster here. When did you become mayor?
I was elected mayor of the city of Chicago in April of 2023, and I was sworn in May 15th
on June
of
12th,
2023.
On June 12th, 2023, you received Hugo Boss cufflinks and a personalized Mont Blanc pin. Do you know who gave you those?
So I did not receive those personally. The city of Chicago
received those on behalf
and
of
that's
the city
right,
of
on behalf of the city of Chicago.
I
Every
understand
mayor
the difference.
in the
Do you know
history
who-
of Chicago who has
Do you know who
provided
gave those
gifts
to the city of Chicago? Do you know who gave those to the city of Chicago?
So again, on behalf of the city of Chicago, there
It's
are
a yes
gifts
or no
that are
question.
received, but I do not accept. Those are not my personal gifts.
You don't know.
Those are the gifts of the city of
on March
Chicago,
18th,
and that's why you are aware that they exist, because they're within the law.
Time here, sir. On March 18th, 2024, you received a Gucci tote bag. Do you know who gave you that? Gave the city of Chicago that?
Again, I was here and I was invited.
I'll also
to
take
respond
that as
to
no.
the
On March
questions
19th,
around
2024,
welcoming
the
city. I'm
city of
happy to answer
Chicago
any of those
received
questions.
A Vinci bag, a Kate Spade purse, and Carucci shoes. Do you know who gave the city of Chicago those?
Again, I was brought
I'll take that as a no. I'm reclaiming my time
to respond.
Here, sir. I am reclaiming my time.
Chicago.
This
What a welcoming
raises
city
serious
ordinance
ethical
is.
concerns. You're providing an enormous amount of aid to illegal aliens, aiding and abetting criminals who have come into our country illegally. And you yourself are receiving an enormous amount of gifts, and you won't even tell us who they're coming from. That
Chairman,
raises
time is up.
serious ethical concerns. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this.
Serious ethical concerns. Again, this is about why would he make these decisions that are harming his constituents unless he was getting benefit from those actions. I want to make a correction here. This Thai ship, this was from March 11th. And this is not breaking news. This was from March 11th, and supposedly there was no $2 million fee. So that's a correction from an earlier story that I wanted to make. And thank Grok for that correction. Along the lines of what's going on in Chicago, this is what's going on in the United States.
Right. 13,000 homicides from illegal aliens as of 2024. 13,000 homicides, Liz. This is an absolute and total slaughter of our people. And it's time that we start charging the people in politics and in government and in the Biden administration that decided on these policies. The blood is on their hand. This Haitian did not belong in America, should not be here, should have never been here with a hammer, should have never been able to slaughter that woman. Okay. That happened in my state. That happened in Florida. I have a family here in Florida. I'm raising my 4 kids here in Florida. It very well could have been my family, my children, my wife, or me. And you know what? Many Americans have to wake up every single day with that fear. It's time for us to look at legal liability. In a righteous country, we would have legal liability for the Biden administration who decided to simply loose open the borders to the third world to take the prisoners, rapists, murderers, and some of the worst degens of society and loose them upon our civilization.
We got
a
news
human
coming in.
rights violation.
It is human rights abuses, yeah.
Crime.
And it's a violation of their oath to protect and defend American citizens. What?
Absolutely. It is a violation of their oath to protect American citizens. And this needs to be exposed.
Right.
13,000 homicides. Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. One of the things I wanted to say too, and I haven't confirmed this, but I want to see if Grok has anything to say about this, but this has to do with Saudi Arabia. An urgent phone call from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman changed Trump's decision at the last minute. President Trump had intended to declare a complete ceasefire and end the fighting against Iran in exchange for the immediate opening of the Strait of Hormuz. However, a tense phone call with Saudi Crown Prince dramatically changed the plan. According to White House sources, bin Salman begged Trump not to stop the war. This is a historic opportunity. We must finish the job and weaken the Iranian regime once and for all. In exchange for and of course, Saudi Arabia is not involved in the war at all, and Iran bombed Saudi Arabia, bombed their pipeline, which they've opened up, and now 7 million barrels per day are flowing through. In exchange for continuing the fighting, Saudi Arabia offered an unprecedented package of economic and strategic incentives. Key points in the offer: $100 billion transferred directly to finance American war costs, full and immediate normalization with Israel after the fall of the regime, direct oil pipeline from Saudi Arabia to the port of Ashdod, turning Israel into a major energy hub, investment of approximately $1 trillion in the U.S. economy, plus purchases of $500 billion in American weapons, establishment of a new regional defense alliance, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, and other moderate countries under an American umbrella, joint naval force to control the Strait of Hormuz and Bab al-Mandeb, funding of strategic U.S. bases in Israel, joint reconstruction fund for a post-regime secular and moderate Iran. In the end, Trump announced a temporary ceasefire, not an end to the war as was expected. Senior diplomat sources described the move as a historic turning point, marking the beginning of a new regional order. This is from ISKA, Jewish Archive Radar Uncovering Forgotten Jewish History, Zionist Firebrand. So questionable, but possibly significant. Reposted by Imtiaz Mahmoud, atheist freethinker, exposing Islam layer by layer to let infidels know more about Islam than Muslims allow them to. So these both sound like very pro-Israel accounts, so to be taken with a grain of salt. Going to Ireland. Let's listen in.
The man up in the tractor just shouted down to the crowd. He said, "Well done to the 400 guards that called in sick yesterday." So, if that's true, I have to take my hat off. But it's a shame. It's a shame the Gardaí had to do what they did. But it also shows that there are some good members in the force. Fair play.
So 400 police officers called in sick because they refused to go against the people of Ireland, which is wonderful. Man accused of abducting sleeping Dallas boy from his bed, killing him, found incompetent for trial. Another such thing. Madman that is being, not given justice. And Elon Musk reposted the following. This is great. At least those judges who release violent criminals who go on to hurt more people will be publicly shamed. This is from Johnny FSE, and he built courtwatch.us, a free public database for American citizens who deserve safer communities. You can track which judges released defendants who then got rearrested, skipped court, or violated their release conditions. All public records, all free. I started with Orange County, Florida, and will be expanding to all 67 Florida counties and eventually every state in the country. This first batch of info is from 2024, and since public records are released in March, April for the previous year, data is behind, but I wanted to see if this is plausible. After adding 2024, I'll add 2025 and then figure out how to get real-time data uploaded. It's in beta. Would love to know what you think. Numbers don't lie, but criminals do, and that is courtwatch.us. I'm going to sign up for that. Notify me. We'll never sell or share your email ever. Explore the data, know your judges, hold them accountable. Search real court records to see which judges presided over cases where defendants failed to appear, were rearrested, or had pretrial release revoked. All data sourced from public records. Okay. When someone is arrested, a judge decides whether to release them before trial. Florida law requires counties to publicly report every case where that release failed, the person missed court, got a rearrest, or had the release revoked. We collect those public records and show you exactly which judges presided over those cases so you can see the data for yourself. I'm going to repost this so that you can have it both on X and on snedheads.com. If you're not on X, you can get to snedheads.com and get, see a lot that goes on X, which is a very, very important platform right now. So, yes. So, okay. Let me take you to this story. 78% of slave ships were owned by Jews. This is something I came across today and wanted to share with you. Here we go. So
there's a new book I'm reading, Tiny Hats Selling the Slaves. Oh yeah, they forgot to mention all of this in the Rockefeller schools. And people say that's not true. Well, you should read this one. This guy was a rabbi who wrote this one. And you know the term layaway? That came from when rabbis were selling slaves. Yes. And this has pages and pages of all the auctions and the rabbis selling the slaves. Check this. Jacob Cohen, okay, owned a plantation. Yes, all the plantations were ran by the Tiny Hats. 294 enslaved Africans. He was the president of the synagogue. You can just look this stuff up. And what got even deeper is I found Charleston, 1825. That was the original place of the slave marts. And they own the merchants, they own the ships, they own everything. And look at this. Charleston, Tiny Hat, slave traders. Now, since the Tiny Hats own all the newspapers, if they tried to run away, they'd put an ad up trying to get the slaves back. Then it got deeper when I found out that the Tiny Hats owned the police too. So if people tried to run away, they owned both sides. And it's wild because there was only 2 people who actually spoke up about this. That's why it's hidden from you. And also when Christopher Columbus came over here, now you understand who Christopher Columbus was. And this is why the Tiny Hats, the Charzarians, had been kicked out of all these countries. Now you start to understand.
Well.
So there's a new book.
Okay. There you have it. Yeah. Folks, if you would like to support the work I do, all the more important because of what we're seeing with the these influencers that are obviously being paid by someone, some entity, to turn on President Trump. You know, easy to think about what those entities and that entity might be, but very important to support those who are not beholden to that. And this is where it is so very, very important. I'm dropping the links that you can go to in the chat on Rumble, on X, and also on YouTube. And I ask for your support for this program so that we can keep moving forward and keep fighting against so many of these influencers that are absolutely just taking money and selling their souls, which is absolutely tragic that we're even having to deal with this kind of thing. Yeah, so one way to defeat this is by supporting those who you know are not on the payroll. Very well articulated town hall meeting here. Let me take you to that.
Mr. Hollingsworth, I know that
This is in Ohio, where they are trying to get a data center in.
you had your hand up to talk.
Hello, my name is Will Hollingsworth. I work at Reed Memorial Library, and thank you all for hearing me today. I'm not a cynic when it comes to technology. My love for it started when my uncle first sat me down at a beige Windows 95 computer and began teaching me HTML. I will never forget the first thing I Googled. It was an image search for pigs flying. I wanted to see if the internet could make the impossible real. This love of the digital shaped my career as I went on to become a programmer and a professional content creator. For the last decade and a half, I have been in service of learning burgeoning technology. In my last job, I was the digital artist they trusted to do that kind of work. I was the one feeding Midjourney prompts to create the perfect commercial, training the very machine that would eventually replace me, as 3 months later, they would lay me off. I didn't just watch it happen. I was holding the tools when the tools were turned on me. I want to stress, I don't stand here as an enemy of progress. The thing is, when I look at the data center proposal, I don't see progress. I see a gamble where the big tech companies get the gold while Portage County foots the bill. Now, I know there are good faith arguments for this project. There are people in our community, informed, honest people, who will tell you that the modern data centers use what's called a closed loop system. They say the water is filled once and recycled forever. In a laboratory, that might be true, but we aren't living in a laboratory. We're living in Ohio. I can tell you that as the chips get smaller and AI demands get larger, the heat these machines generate is outstripping the closed loop theory. To keep the servers from melting, a data center has to bleed the lines to remove toxic sludge, aka forever chemicals, and bleeding water needs to be evaporated. It does not stay in the loop. It evaporates into the sky by millions of gallons. The very place that laid me off was an organic mattress company. And while working for them, I actually learned a lot about forever chemicals. I got to see how the sausage gets made. I saw the inside of those so-called regulations. I saw how rigorous studies are often self-funded, a pay-to-play model where if you've got the cash, they'll give you the certificate. If a $1 trillion company is funding the study that says their forever chemical runoff won't hit our water table, they aren't giving us the science, they're giving us a sales pitch. We're told that we have to accept this because we need big employers. We're told that if we don't say yes, we're driving away the future. But that's a false choice. A big employer who uses the water of 50,000 people, which by the way is a combination of both Kent and Ravenna, only hires about 10 people is not an employer. They are an extraction. We are being asked to fund a 21st century luxury with a 19th century resource heist. We are being asked to sacrifice the lifeblood of our city so a $1 trillion company can save a fraction of a cent on its margins. We're being asked to drain our reservoirs so a chatbot can write a poem or so our sheriff can generate a picture of himself standing next to Bigfoot. Which, by the way, of course, he made himself look taller. They want us to trust a $1 trillion industry that tells us with a straight face that they can suck 5 million gallons of water out of our ground a day, use it as a liquid heat sink, and return it to our rivers without a single consequence. They are asking for a measured approach while they hide their actual usage behind secret contracts and NDAs. Ohioans have seen this trick played before. We know what happens when massive utility interests and black box energy deals get fast-tracked behind closed doors. We're still paying the bill, literally, for the first energy scandal. We were told these bailouts were essential and measured too, and it turned out to be the largest racketeering plot in the history of our state. So when a $1 trillion company asks for our water, our electricity, and our silence, we shouldn't just be asking for the facts. We should be asking who's really getting the kickback and why is it our reservoir that's on the line? There is a reason the Ohio House just voted 88-0 to pause and study this industry. It wasn't an act of cynicism, it was an act of stewardship. They realize we cannot let these ghost towns move in then before we understand the damage they do to our grid and our water table. We are the county seat. We are the stewards of the Great Lakes Basin. Let Ravenna be the city that had the wisdom to say no to the bubble and yes to the basin. I am not a cynic when it comes to technology. I am a believer in community. I believe that a drop of clean water for a Ravenna child is worth more than 1 billion AI-generated images. Let us choose the child. Let us choose the community. Let us choose to keep our water where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see.
All right, who wants?
Some of the committee members also applauding that as well. So it sounds like many of you are facing some data centers. So I recommend do your homework. Good to see you, Kevin. How you doing, brother? I recommend you do your homework. And Penny for Your Thoughts says we're fighting a data center near my home in Georgia. There's Kevin says there's a huge data center going up near Port Washington. Kevin, is that remind me, is that Michigan? Wendy's fighting one in Colorado Springs. Hunter says they're trying in her town. Yeah. Big Gouda mentions the noise pollution as well. Yeah. So, yeah. Good to see you all. Ann, welcome. And so I did cover Swalwell earlier in the show about his stepping down from running for governor of California. to fight these accusations against him. Also, building data center in discussion in Racine, Wisconsin. Okay, good to know. Okay, good. Yeah. So, Eclectic Dawn says a couple in North Carolina. Yeah. So important to be on top of that, right? MAGA Girl says a family near me just turned down $23 million for their land for a data center. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're going to need them, but there's no reason why we need them near towns, small towns. They can be out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the solar panels are bad enough. These data centers will be exponentially worse. I agree. Iowa Google wants to open back up the nuclear power station for its data center. Must be on the river. Yeah, maybe. Is that on the is that on the Mississippi? That power station? Michelle says they tried to buy a bunch of acres of land in Kentucky, and the lady told them no way. I'm very proud of her. Very cool. Yeah, plenty of empty land away from people. Yeah, it's been on the news and everything. The one about her turning down that money. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, my friends, a lot of major stuff going on, obviously, and very important that we keep an eye on that stuff. Let me share this interview with you that Eagle Ed Martin shared. And this was on an interview with Rudy Giuliani if he was made Attorney General.
So say you were Attorney General tomorrow, what would you do in terms of bringing accountability, which is the one thing so many Republicans say to me, they lament?
I would put together, I wouldn't do a special prosecutor, but I'd do a special division. You know how you have the criminal division, the civil rights division, or this division, or that division? I do a division maybe of about 50 or 60 lawyers, and I'd put them on this, on what happened, get us the answer as to what happened in 2020. Both with regard to one group would deal with the crimes against the United States, which they committed, and the other would deal
As
with
in the election. Right, the election.
And let's get the answer to
and
it.
the cover-up of Joe Biden's crimes.
Right.
Right.
And we're either going to indict people, or we're going to explain to people why we can't. And we're going to create we're going to write history, like Churchill said. Whoever writes history makes history, right? And
so kind of a RICO case, conspiracy case, like you did against the 5 families.
Yeah, it's tailor-made for it. I mean, it's like every once in a while you go for a suit and you put it on and nothing has to be done. This is a suit, you just put your right in it.
And who are the top capos?
Well, I mean, I have a chart that goes back to probably 3 months after I first got the information. So I first got the information in November and December of 2019.
About Ukraine and Biden.
And I'm talking to Shokin and the others in early. So by March, I put together an outline of the Point Man RICO case. The other two would have been China, which I knew enough about China then to be able to put it in the case. But I didn't have the solid evidence of that. That would have had to have. And also we had that 3.5 million very odd payment from Russia.
So are you saying the Biden, the Hillary Clinton, the 2020 election are all connected?
100%. I think they started somewhere in, and I think it all starts in, from the best that I have, it all starts somewhere in it all starts in Obama's office in the famous meeting in which they all they all either find out or make it clear they're aware of the fact that she's going to develop this false story, pay for it, and use it against Trump. And they're going to use it to defeat Trump.
Russia collusion.
Right. They're going to use it to defeat Trump. And then when it doesn't work, of course, who is it that says we have insurance?
Oh, yeah, Peter Strzok,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
FBI.
Yeah. He comes to the conclusion we can't prove this now. Actually, he knows it's untrue. But he says he knows that they can. There's a lot more they can continue. And the other thing that's really important here is Ukraine played a very active role in it. It's not as if they were. When I say Ukraine, I don't mean the Ukrainian people. I love the Ukrainian people, but their political structure is horrible, and they were owned by the Democrats. One of the prosecutors there said, since 2014, we've been like a cash cow for the Democrat Party and a few of your people. I said, would you tell me who our people are? He said, he either said, I don't think I should, or I'm not sufficiently knowledgeable.
So that was Miranda Devine, Pod Force One, and interviewing Rudy about what he would do as the AG. And it was all about the election.
So say
fantastic. And this is a BBC poll backlash of what's going on with what people think about the immigration.
Twain shall meet, unfortunately, on this one. We do have to bring you our vote because you have been voting in the text and online vote today. So here is the result. Is multiculturalism working? Here is what you told us. 5% of those of you who voted said yes, it is. 95% of those of you who voted this morning said no, it isn't. Twain shall meet, unfortunately, on this one. We do have to bring you our vote because you have been voting in the text and
95% said that multiculturalism is not working. Is not working. Okay. Not a shocker, right? But certainly worth looking into before any other elections are before we go forward with any other elections at all. President Trump has been posting pretty significantly over the past couple hours, and I want to take you to a couple of those. First, he 3 hours ago he said congratulations to Paulo Costa on a great UFC fight last night in Miami. He will be absolutely he will absolutely be a future champion. It was great talking to him outside the ring after his big victory. Just mad respect for President Trump by these fighters. And these aren't dummies. These are like well-trained, high IQ fighters because they have to really dial in strategy. But these guys aren't just pushovers. And because of the way Dana White runs UFC, they're allowed to state their support. And there's Dana giving them a handshake as well for President Trump if they so choose. And I think that's absolutely fabulous. Whereas the NBA and all these others, they can't say anything like this. God forbid they try. Player for Chicago was suspended. Ridiculous. But Rory and his father Jerry, also a very good golfer at Trump International Golf Club, Palm Beach County, Florida. President Trump congratulated Rory McIlroy on his Masters win. That was right before Yeah, right there. He's becoming more and more of a legend. Look forward to watching him compete in 2 weeks at Doral. The quality of professional golfers today has become extraordinary, each and every one of them. They should all be proud of the way they played at the Masters this weekend. Then that little get together. And then President Trump takes a shot at Pope Leo. Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and all other Christian organizations had during COVID when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else for holding church services, even when going outside and being 10 and even 20 feet apart. I like his brother Louis much better than I like him because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it and Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States and even worse, emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and killers, into our country. And I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States because I'm doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide to do, setting record low numbers in crime and creating the greatest stock market in history. Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be pope and was only put there by the church because he was an American and they thought that would be the best way to deal with President Donald J. Trump. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Unfortunately, Leo's weak on crime, weak on nuclear weapons, does not sit well with me, nor does the fact that he meets with Obama sympathizers like David Axelrod, a loser from the left who is one of those who wanted churchgoers and clerics to be arrested. Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great Pope, not a politician. It's hurting him very badly, and more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church, President Donald J. Trump. Well, there you have it. What happened to my screen? Okay, let's go back to President Trump and see what he's been posting. Okay, here we go. Let me get back to this. Okay. 10 hours ago, why is that showing me 10 hours ago? I need the more. Okay, here we go. Okay. He posted 2 of this, but let me show you what else he posted here. Then he posted Eric Swalwell paid illegal Brazilian live-in nanny under the table with campaign funds, complaint alleges. Okay, so that's another scandal. Again, it's going to lead up to the Fang and the major scandal. DHS investigating claim about Swalwell nanny filed by conspiracy theorists. So they're trying to diminish this, right? This is President Trump laying his hand on someone, I don't know who, very angelic, but he reposted this. And then he reposted a Trump hotel on the moon, which is hilarious. Then 53 minutes ago, shows Bernie Sanders, 40 years in office, Schumer, 52 years in office, Biden, 50 years in office, and him, 5 years in office. And then he posted these 2.
It's been an amazing week in America. We saw the dark side of the moon. We rescued 2 American fighter pilots from Iran, and we kicked the bejesus out of the IRCG. Here's the president bragging about the rescue operation at this year's White House Easter egg roll.
And what about the rescue that took place yesterday? What about it?
And that is some mighty fine camera work there, C-SPAN.
It's something that you rarely see.
I mean, I don't really blame you for focusing on her because, you know, wow.
They were giving me a briefing about that. And they said, normally when you're in very hostile territory,
I saw her documentary.
people And there are others like that. You don't mind when the enemy is weak, but that enemy is strong.
Yeah, I'm thinking the cameraman has a little obsession there. Speaking of eggs, at the end of the Biden administration, eggs cost 80% more than they do now. Remember those days? This year, eggs are so cheap, Democrats can resume throwing them at Tesla dealerships.
I came out and I expected we were going to be talking about farmers, and we love our farmers. We were going to talk about so many different products, but you know what they want to talk about? Sir, this is about eggs. Eggs.
Isn't that the same buddy that led Joe Biden around the White House lawn a couple of years ago?
Because we have the egg farmers of the entire country here, and they are unbelievable. And if you
We are the only country in the world that the president stands next to somebody in a bunny costume.
remember when I first got elected, my first news conference with the fake news, a lot of fake news here today, but I had a news conference, and the first question, what are you going to do about eggs, sir? I said, what's wrong with eggs? I just got there. It's my second day in office at a news conference. And they were screaming at me, what am I going to do about eggs? And I said, well, it's like,
Meanwhile, happy Easter, kids.
What's wrong with eggs? The price was so high. It was 4 times higher than it was a year before.
I don't know what's going on with the audio there, but it's out of sync.
For decades, the U.S. has footed around 65% of NATO's bills, and we bailed them out during myriad military conflict. But when we started Operation Epic Fury, our allies dropped us like a bad date, and the president is not happy about it.
Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, but we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want
Just say it. NATO sucks.
to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us?
No, who else didn't help us?
South Korea didn't help us.
Oh, nice. Way to go, South Korea.
You know who else didn't help us? Australia.
Oh, yeah, Australia. Thanks a lot.
Didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea.
Well, I would have expected just a little more from Japan.
So President Trump posted that. And again, I'll take you to drop 13, where Dan sent us to, and also POTUS sent us to. Now think about the timing of POTUS traveling to China, South Korea. I've said too much. God bless Patriots. So they're, giving us the comms from these various events. Now I want to take you to a Candace Owens post. This was, I don't know when she said this, but let's listen in here.
I don't know if it means something, but it's something that has always lived inside of me. Which was something that Charlie Kirk told me before he passed, and something that Andrew Colbert confirmed to me. This is, again, when everybody was good, and obviously things are not the same between me and Andrew Colbert, because I don't believe him. I just don't believe him. But before it was announced that Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million, this was, I think it was announced in July or just before July of 2024. And I was told by Charlie that he and Andrew Colbert were present for that meeting with Donald Trump. And the reason that Charlie told me the story, and again, I could go back and try to figure out when exactly the discussion happened. I want to say it was May. So I knew that money went through, and I knew what she wanted in exchange for $100 million. What Charlie and Andrew Colbert told me was that she said that she wanted in exchange for Trump to allow them to annex not Gaza, but the West Bank. I was stunned by this. I think it has since made the news. But of course, this is like a totally different pretense than October 7th. Hamas is not in the West Bank, and that is what she wanted in exchange. After she said this to Trump, Trump went, he was wherever Charlie was, Trump was adjusting his tie and looking in the mirror, and he said, I'm going to take her money and then I'll F her over. Okay. I am hearing this from Charlie, who was their first person, and and Andrew who confirmed this. Andrew was also there. That nobody else was there but Andrew and Charlie when Trump said this. A few weeks later, there was the Butler attempted assassination. And I find it very strange that Donald Trump is not interested or has appeared to be completely disinterested in determining who fired that shot. There were a lot of holes in that story. I didn't go down that rabbit hole, but I do know that once you assume office and you have the power to get more information and put more information out there, it's weird that he was satisfied just moving on from that. And I do remember watching Don Trump Jr. on stage when someone sort of prodded him on that and like, you know, are you satisfied with the conclusion of what happened in Butler? That Donald Trump Jr. kind of said, I'm not, but my father is, and that's that. Like it just kind of got hushed up. And I had wondered in my mind if it got back to me that Trump said that, if it maybe got back to the Adelsons that Trump said that. You don't take $100 million from a family of, I would say, gangsters, right? You're in gambling. It's not exactly an industry. I'm talking about Sheldon. That's what they made the money on. You don't take that kind of money and then express to people that you're planning on just screwing the person over. I just have a lot of questions about that. And it all transpired very quickly. And I just wanted to share that, especially in the context of Tucker saying we should have some grace, and clearly something happened and presidents have been assassinated in the past. And I do think that we have all noted this shift in him since Butler, Pennsylvania. Again, that is all I know. Not pointing the finger or assigning any blame, but I think we all have questions about how quickly Trump wanted to sort of close the book on Butler, Pennsylvania.
Okay. So I've got some thoughts on this. I called off Candace. I called off Tucker. I've been talking about them for quite some time. And even Charlie Kirk, I called off. Didn't trust at all. With Tucker, it goes back to 9/11, his work for the obviously the what do you call it? The controlled opposition of Fox News, right? Which I haven't trusted Fox News in a very, very long time. So I've been out ahead of all of this, but I have pointed you to Candace regarding Charlie Kirk and Macron, the Macrons. Now, so she's good for some things, right? I believe most of the work that she's doing on Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk, without question, but I haven't spent a lot of time on that. And I'm about to tell you why. And Candace, I'm talking to you now. If you followed me, if you understood Q, if you understood this whole operation, you would know that President Trump has kind of been screwing over the Adelsons all along but the Adelsons aren't seeing it because he's been absolutely disgracing the mainstream media and he's doing away with the central banking, and that is crippling to the Khazarian cabal that runs Israel. Okay. Candace either doesn't see that or she's paid to bring you along this conspiracy theory, avenue, and then turn away from President Trump. Tucker has opened up to conspiracy theories and then turns away from Trump. Alex Jones brings all these people along this journey on this avenue of conspiracy, turns on Trump. Okay. Megyn Kelly turned on Patriots a long time ago with the gaslighting of James Elefantis of Comet Ping Pong, and then lost her status and her money after she signed that $20 million deal with NBC. NBC didn't, those viewers wanted no part of her. And so she couldn't make it go there. And so then she came back into the conservative fold but most of us had already moved on from her. So all of these people don't have Q in their purview. That's a problem, because this doesn't surprise me that President Trump would say that to Charlie. Now, the question is, how far along was Charlie in his awakening towards Israel? Would Charlie have shared this with somebody that it would have gotten back to Israel? Now, why is President Trump okay with the fact that Butler, Pennsylvania hasn't been truly investigated? Why would President Trump be okay with the fact that the Charlie Kirk murder hasn't been truly investigated? And I'm talking about legitimately. Like, there's no way Tyler did it. There's no way that other dude did it. Can't even remember his name because it's not, people aren't even talking about it anymore. But both are lone shooters, scripted assassinations, lone shooters, so they can tie it up in a nice, neat little bow and move on. But why is President Trump not really dug into the investigation in Butler? Because he knows who did it. And we are saving Israel for last. It would be nice if Candace was legitimately looking for truth, which I believe she's doing in the Macron situation. I believe she's doing in the Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk situation. But she's not doing in the Trump situation. And so she's either being paid to not get on board with Trump. But why there's no way in hell that she questions Charlie Kirk. If he said he heard President Trump say that, that's exactly what President Trump said, in my opinion. Okay. I didn't come back to Charlie until after he started criticizing Israel after October 7th. And their connection, possible connection to that. So this is why these investigations, Candace, have not been done, have not been continued. She built her audience, a lot of her audience. She obviously was very successful before the Erica Kirk situation and the Charlie Kirk murder. But she's not taking the stance that he's still alive like I am. Okay. She's not taking the stance that, she thinks it very well could be Israel, but she doesn't understand why President Trump can't look deeper into that. She may think Butler is Israel. She doesn't understand why President Trump can't go further on that, because it's not the right time. Because we're saving Israel for last. Why? Because all these other things have to be done, and Israel has to keep exposing itself. That's my take on that. And I've been very clear from the start that that's the situation. And that's why I don't dive too deeply into Charlie Kirk. That's why I don't dive too deeply into Butler, other than show you that the guy who was, taking care of all the cameramen and positioning them in certain ways, positioned them perfectly as the crane dropped the flag and took that picture of him putting his fist up in the air saying, "Fight, fight, fight." To me, that was staged. And if Israel was meant to assassinate him, they certainly wouldn't have gotten as close as they did. And I think that was to, eventually it will come out that that was the plan to assassinate him. They got in front of it, and then they staged that whole thing. And with Charlie Kirk, same thing. They knew that Israel was going to try to assassinate him, and they took him out of that situation. So that's my belief. That's total speculation on my part. It doesn't have to be, absolute, but certainly, yeah. Thank you, Billy. Yeah, the movie Snake Eyes was, too many coincidences there. Yeah, very staged. Thank you, Fawn. So that's why I haven't gotten into it, folks. That's why I don't dig into Charlie Kirk. I dig into everything. I've dug into everything. Why is Dave Snedeker not digging into the Charlie Kirk murder and the Butler assassination attempt? Because of Q, because enjoy the show, because of central casting, because of nothing in those situations makes sense. Nothing. The narrative that is being fed can only be eaten by those who are used to junk food narratives. Those are the only people that are buying that shit. The rest of us are like, it's nonsense. But what would President Trump's motivation be for not wanting to get to the bottom of a possible assassination attempt on his life? Q already told us that first one, when they tried to shoot down Air Force One, was Barack Obama. He organized the whole thing in the Philippines. He did the red video, the red video where he called for it. That we know that. So this is all going to come out. This is all going to come out. I don't know if it'll ever come out that Butler was staged, honestly. But we already know that. We already know that so much of this is a part of the Great Awakening that needs to happen in order for us to truly, truly pull the wool out from the front of our eyes and look at things very clearly, cui bono, who benefits at each situation, and come to the realization that the actions that are being taken are changing the world for the better. Justice cannot be truly, truly had until Israel is exposed. The first side of the triangle, Saudi Arabia, already happened. 2017 purge with the assistance of President Trump and the National Guard and Marines in the purge of 2017. Then Q pops up, anonymous at first. DJT, one of those posts, then announced that it's Q on the 61st post. This is all was foretold to us. You cannot tell people the truth. You must show them. Only at the precipice will people find the will to change. Will people find the motivation to engage in this process? My friends, this is so clear to me, so very clear to me. And I am grateful to the biggest information drop in the history of our world, which are the 4,966 Q drops and the Ingersoll Lockwood communications and the timestamps, the deltas, the capital letter counts on POTUS's posts on Truth. It's never been more clear, and I'm grateful for all that. All right, my friends, we're 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Nobody to thank on the donation front, but let me check one more time. And here we go. Yes, okay. So thanks for joining me, and I've got some things this week that I need to take care of at nighttime. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Thank you, Old Yeller. I appreciate that. Yeah, the choice to know will be yours, right? Absolutely. Thank you, Fawn, for the repost. Thank you, Ren, for the repost, and tag Candace, guys. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Num Garrett. Appreciate all the feedback here. Yeah, so this is all so very clear to me, folks. Thank you, Cat Mother B. Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Appreciate y'all. So at any rate, my first question was, why did they wait until UVU? Because they just signed an MOU with the Israel College. Oh, interesting. MOU is Memorandum of Understanding. The UVU is the Utah, I think you're talking about. Yeah, so yeah, nothing can stop what is coming. UVU is famous for being an LGBTQ older than 42 college. Okay, good to know. Thank you, Maggie. Appreciate it. Thank you, Peggy. Appreciate you all. Medicated musically, always a great show, Dave. I'm glad I caught you live. Me too. Thank you. Jingle, yes, I do know you tagged Candace. Thank you for that. You can even say, Candace, watch the end of this, or something like that. Watch right at the end. Thank you, Ernie. So look out for my notifications coming live, and I will let you know. Yes, thank you, Fawn. Appreciate you. All right, my friends. Good night from Jasper and Dave in the Sned Shed. Let's make it a big week tomorrow morning. CENTCOM has said that the military will shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and we have become the #1 energy source in the world, and we have plenty of oil to share worldwide. And I think once those avenues start clearing up, the gas prices will go down. So yeah. So thank you, my friends. Yeah, good stuff. Be well and be at peace. Most importantly, folks, everything that's going on is meant to shake you, to shake you to your foundation, and do not allow it to. Stand firm. Put on your armor of God. Stand firm in your faith and trust in this plan, which is happening. We're seeing it unfold. All right. Good night, my friends. Be well. Much love.